Assalamu alaikum, guys. Hope you all are well. So, this is Samar Rashid, your economics instructor. Let's start with our most important economics topic, that is demand and supply. So, let's start. We'll just put on the heading at the first place, demand and supply. Now, let us understand why are we starting with this particular chapter, because it is one of the most important economics chapter. That's the first thing. The basis of the diagram, the basis of economics is in this, right? So it's a topic that is going to improve your basics. So let us move forward. And as far as the exams point of view is concerned, this topic is highly important. So let us go through this topic and let's start it in proper detail, right? So first of all, we have a term that is demand, right? So, what does the term demand states, or what does the term demand shows? First of all, the person who's going to demand a particular product is a consumer, right? So, this particular term, that is demand, will be a consumer's perspective, right? Or the view of the consumer. Moreover, let us move on to its definition. While defining demand, the most important term is willingness. So, what does the term willingness means? It means that I want an Apple pencil, or you can say I have a desire to buy a luxury car or a luxury watch, right? But in order to make demand effective, what does the term effective demand mean? It means that when a particular person, let's say Osama Rashid, is demanding an Apple Pencil or an iPad, he's also able to buy it. Then only the demand is effective. That is also known as fulfilled demand, right? So, moving forward to the next important term of the definition, that is the term ability, right? What does the term ability shows us? It shows the purchasing power of a person, which is represented through the income of a person or the price of a particular good, right? So let us derive the definition of this demand. So let's start. Demand represents the willingness and ability of a consumer to purchase a good or a service at a given price. That's what basic definition of demand is. And as far as the exam point of view is concerned, the examiner will be questioning you in terms of demand. That is a 2 mark question. What is demand? Define demand. Uh, what is effective demand? So in case of effective demand, we'll say that a point where willingness and ability both exist at the same time, that is also known as fulfilled demand. Okay, so let's move forward. Now we'll see what does the term law of demand states. Basically, whenever a particular person is demanding a good or a service, the most likely effect or the most likely influence on a particular demand for a product is its price, right? So we'll derive the law of demand by using its price. So, example, when there is a rise in the price of a particular good or a service, this will result in a fall in quantity demanded of that particular good or a service. right? And whenever there is a fall in the price of a good or a service, let's say sale items, whenever there is a sale in shopping malls, everyone goes there, buys it in bulk quantities. So this will show that whenever there is a fall in the price of a good or a service, the quantity demanded will increase. So I can see here that there is an inverse relation between price and quantity demand, right? And whenever in economics there is an inverse relation, it will show that the curve will be downward sloping. How to make a curve, right? Let's check it out. First of all, when deciding the law of demand, we had two components, the price and the quantity demanded, right? So let us draw the two axes, that is the x and y axis, okay? First of all, identifying, now the first question here, what to identify on any of a particular axis. So always remember one thing, this term, this price is an independent factor, right? Because it is the price that causes change to the quantity demand. So this means that quantity demand is a dependent factor. Okay. So the factor that is independent will be plotted on the top, that is price here due to its independency, and the quantity demand on the horizontal axis, because the effect of price will be shown onto the quantity demand. Now, I said earlier that there will be a downward sloping curve. Let us prove it whether we are right or wrong. So, first of all, I'll just draw a downward sloping demand curve like this. You can see this is a demand curve. I'll mention it here with a D. First of all, what I'll do is I'll derive the basic point on the demand and mention it with point A. I'll take out the price with P and the quantity demanded with QD, right? What does the law states? That when you increase the price, right, the quantity demanded falls. Let's check it out. When there is an increase in the price from P to P1, there is a movement or an upward movement on the demand curve from point A to point B. And there is a fall in the quantity demanded from QD to QD1. We can see that, showing it with an arrow. So this proves that according to the law, our diagram is correct. Furthermore, moving forward to the vice versa case, when there is a fall in the price from P to P2, right? There is a rise in quantity demanded from QD. I've mentioned Q1 before, so here I'll mention Q2. There is a movement along the demand curve or downward along the demand curve from point A to point C. So the law and the diagram are both correct, right? So let's move forward. Here in this particular diagram, I can see that there is a movement along the demand curve, right? There is a movement along the demand curve, right? What is the reason behind the movement? The reason is the price or the quantity demand. Let's check it out. Price being an independent factor, quantity demand being a dependent factor. quantity demand at this particular point cannot change by itself. We're changing the price by itself, right? So the reason behind the movement along the curve will be price changes. Price changes, and there is no other factor included, keeping all other factors constant. So in economics, this is a definition of a particular term that is known as ceteris paribus. What does ceteris paribus states? When there is a movement along the demand curve due to price changes while keeping all the factors constant. This is known as ceteris paribus. One more thing that I'll show you here is we can see in this particular diagram that there is a fall in quantity demand, right? Due to a rise in price. So this fall of quantity demand and a movement along the demand curve, that is the upward movement, it is known as contraction of demand. Whereas when there is a downward movement on the demand curve due to a fall in price, this is known as extension of demand, right? So this is what demand is, the law of demand. There can be a 2-mark question for law of demand. Just they'll say state the law of demand. So you're gonna write the law of demand states that there is an inverse relation between the price and quantity demanded, right? When there is a rise in price, the quantity demand falls and vice versa. Moving forward to the diagram, whenever examiner asks a question regarding the diagram, it is always a 6-mark question. And if that question is on in case study, it will be a 4-mark or a 6-mark question. It depends on the type of question it is. So let us illustrate the diagram. Let us prove the examiner that we know what this particular diagram states. So we're gonna define it. How to define it? It's simple. The diagram shows a normal downward sloping demand curve, right? Where P is the original price and QD is the original quantity demanded. Full stop. When there is an increase in the price from P to P1, this contracts the demand or results in a fall in quantity demand from QD to QD1. And there is a movement along the curve from point A to point B. Whereas when there is a fall in the price from P to P2, this increases the quantity demand from Q to Q2, and there is a movement along the curve from point A to point C. That's what is going to be the proper explanation of the diagram. If there is a question of demand and its diagram, it might be of 4 marks. As far as the term ceteris paribus is concerned, it is a definition question. Always remember one thing, definition question will be of 2 marks. So ceteris paribus states that when there is a movement along the demand curve due to price changes, keeping all the factors constant, it is known as ceteris paribus. So I hope all the problems are solved for now regarding this particular demand chapter. Moving forward, it is a really big topic, but as far as demand we're done. Now we'll move on to the factors affecting demand. Okay, so we'll be back with a bang in next video. So hope you guys liked it. Take care. Goodbye.